Do you know how many characters the Straw Hats already have deep history with on Elbaf? And no, it's not just Dory and Brogy. Well, that's exactly what we're breaking down today. We'll be going through every major Elbaf connection the crew was already carrying before this arc even started, from old promises made across the Grand Line to reunions 20 years in the making. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see just how insanely far ahead Oda has been planning. So let's get right into it. Dory and Brogy. Let's start with the most obvious ones, because the hype for Elbaf actually started way back in Little Garden. This is where the crew met the absolute legends, Dory and Brogy. These two spent a staggering 100 years locked in a duel over a dispute so old they could barely remember the cause, because in Elbaf, honor always comes before life. They weren't just random giants either. They were the co-captains of the giant warrior pirates, basically the most respected warriors their kingdom ever produced. When the Straw Hats eventually set foot on Elbaf, they won't be treated like typical outsiders. They're arriving as the crew that stood by Elbaf's greatest heroes when it mattered most. Luffy earned their eternal respect by putting his life on the line to protect Dory's pride against Baroque works. That bond has been simmering for years, and now the circle is finally complete. Dory and Brogy have officially reunited with the crew, sailing right alongside Luffy as his heaviest-hitting allies, Omo and Kashi. This is one of the most satisfying long-game payoffs in the entire series. Back at Eni's lobby, these two were guarding the world government's front gate, stuck there for 50 years, tricked into thinking their captains Dory and Brogy were being held prisoner. The Marines lied and told them that if they served for a century, their leaders would be set free. The person who blew the lid off that scam? Usopp. He told Oimo the truth. He'd personally seen their captains alive and well, still dueling on Little Garden by their own choice. That one conversation changed everything. The Giants flipped sides on the spot, helping the Straw Hats tear through the Marines during their most legendary raid. Afterward, Kashi personally invited Usopp to Elbaf. Even though Usopp stayed with the crew, they made a pact to meet again at the Giants' homeland. That promise from hundreds of chapters ago is finally being kept. Hajrudin. Next up is Hajrudin, and this one connects directly to the crew through the Grand Fleet. Fans met Hajrudin during Dressrosa, where he entered the Colosseum tournament, trying to win the Mera Mera no Mi. He didn't get it, but after witnessing what went down at Dressrosa, he pledged himself to Luffy and became the captain of the new giant warrior pirates, now the 6th ship of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Here's what makes this even bigger. The Elbaf arc heavily implies Hajrudin has close ties to Elbaf's royal bloodline and a personal connection to Loki. The Straw Hats had a direct blood connection to Elbaf's royal family already sailing under their flag, and none of them knew it until they arrived. When the crew walks into Elbaf, they have royalty-adjacent backup. That's not luck. That's Oda building his web. Did you realize that Hajrudin was Loki's half-brother? Drop a comment right now, because I feel like most people completely forgot about him between Dressrosa and Elbaf. The new giant warrior pirates. Building off Hajrudin, it's not just him. After Dressrosa, Hajrudin formed the new giant warrior pirates, and the entire crew pledged themselves to Luffy as part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. These are giants from Elbaf. They have ties to the island, its culture, and its warrior traditions. When the Straw Hats step onto Elbaf, they aren't outsiders. They're the captain that a crew of Elbaf's own giants already swore loyalty to. In a society that values warrior honor above everything else, that kind of endorsement carries enormous weight. This connection was forged in the blood and chaos of Dressrosa, but its full payoff is unfolding right now. Chief Jarul. This is a connection built on pure legend. At over 400 years old, Chief Jarul is one of Elbaf's greatest warriors, essentially the legend that came before the legends. While the Straw Hats didn't meet him before Elbaf, they've known his legacy for years. Everything Dory and Brogy taught the crew about warrior pride and giant culture traces back to the standard Jarul set generations ago. Now that the crew is actually on the island, Jarul is right in the thick of it, defying the world government. The Straw Hats might have been strangers to him, but thanks to their history with his successors, they walked onto Elbaf already understanding exactly what a giant like Jarul stands for. Jaguar D. Saul. This isn't about alliances or epic battles. This one is deeply personal. Robin's ties to Elbaf go back to the darkest chapter of her life. During the tragedy of Ohara, a defecting Marine Vice Admiral named Jaguar D. Saul washed up on her shores and became the first person to show her true kindness. He taught her how to laugh and promised her that no one is born into this world to be alone. When the Buster Call turned Ohara to ash, Saul stood his ground against the Marines just to give Robin a chance to escape. He was frozen solid by Aokiji and left for dead, leaving Robin to carry the crushing weight of his loss for 20 years. But Saul survived. He's been hidden away on Elbaf this entire time, guarding the mountain of books the scholars died to save and preserving the history the world government tried to erase. For Robin, this reunion isn't just a plot point. It's the ultimate confirmation that she was worth saving. Of all the Straw Hat connections to this island, Saul is the one that hits the hardest. Because he isn't just a friend. He's the reason Robin is still here. Saul surviving and hiding on Elbaf all this time is one of the most emotional reveals Oda has ever pulled off. Drop a comment. Did you see it coming? Or did it hit you completely out of nowhere? Shanks. This one works differently because the Straw Hats didn't know this connection existed. But it does, and it's massive. The Elbaf arc strongly suggests Shanks was involved in Loki's capture and imprisonment beneath Treasure Tree Atom. For Luffy, Shanks is everything. He's the man Luffy has been chasing across the entire Grand Line. He's the reason Luffy became a pirate, and now it turns out that the path Luffy is walking in Elbaf is a path Shanks already walked first. Luffy finds Loki chained to the same tree Shanks put him on. He makes a deal with Loki tied to information about Shanks. The connection runs through every layer of this arc. The crew knows Shanks, they understand what he means to Luffy, and now they're dealing with the consequences of his decisions on Elbaf. That's not a coincidence. That's the story catching up to itself. Prince Loki. This is the big one. The accursed prince chained to the Treasure Tree Atom. While he seems like a new addition, the groundwork for Loki was laid across two major arcs years ago. It started back at Thriller Bark, where Nami formed a deep bond with Lola. At the time, Lola only mentioned she had run away from an arranged marriage to find true love. The full truth didn't come out until Whole Cake Island, when Lola's twin Chiffon explained everything. The groom Lola ditched was actually Prince Loki. That failed wedding didn't just break Loki's heart, it destroyed a massive political alliance and turned Big Mom's hatred for giants into a full-blown obsession. Because of those conversations, Nami walked onto Elbaf already holding the keys to the kingdom's biggest scandal. Then you have Luffy, who does what he does best. He stumbled onto the imprisoned prince by accident and immediately cut a deal to free him in exchange for info on Shanks. Between Nami's insider knowledge and Luffy's reckless deal-making, the crew's connection to Loki is one of the longest-running slow burns in One Piece history. And that is every major Elbaf connection the Straw Hats were already carrying before this arc even started. 8 characters across 8 different arcs built up over 15 years of story. And now, they all converge in one place. That's not coincidence, that's Oda. If this video helped you see just how deep the planning goes, drop a like and subscribe. There's a lot more Elbaf content coming as this arc keeps building. Make sure you are there when the next bounty drops.